First, we'll have Vedic chanting. I request everyone to close the eyes and hear these mantras. This will help us to, focus the mind, to bring back the scattered mind. Close the eyes and let us chant long Om. Om. Om Asato Ma Sadgamaya Tamaso Ma Jyotirgamaya Mrityurma Amritam Gamaya. Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahano Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu Ma Vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om. Om Tejo Asi Tejo Mai Dehi Balamasi Balam Mai Dehi Ojo Asi Ojo Mai Dehi Viryamasi Viryam Mai Dehi Saho Asi Saho Mai Dehi Manyurasi Manyum Mai Dehi. Om Yaschandasa Vrishabho Vishwarupaha Chandobhyodhyamritaat Sambhapuva Samendro Bhedaya Sprunotu Amritasya Devadharano Bhuyasam Shariram Me Vicharshanam Jivha Me Madhumattama Karnabhyam Bhuri Vishruvam Brahmana Kosho Asi Medhaya Pihitaha Shrutam Me Gopaya. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Namah Shri Yatirajaya Vivekananda Suraye Satchit Sukha Swarupaya Swamine Tapaharine. Let us begin today's reading now. Swami Vivekananda says in his text called Inspired Talks, Monday, July 8, 1895. There's no place for reasoning in Madhva's explanation. It's all taken from the revelation in the Vedas. Ramanuja says the Vedas are the holiest study. Let the sons of the three upper castes get the sutras, and at 8, 10, or 12 years of age begin the study, which means going to a guru and learning the Vedas word for word with perfect intonation and pronunciation. Japa is repeating the holy name. Through this, the devotee rises to the infinite. The boat of sacrifice and ceremonies is very frail. We need more than that to know Brahman, which alone is freedom. Liberty is nothing more than destruction of ignorance, and that can only go when we know Brahman. It is not necessary to go through all these ceremonials to reach the meaning of the Vedanta. Repeating Om is enough. Seeing difference is the cause of all misery, and ignorance is the cause of seeing difference. That is why ceremonials are not needed, because they increase the idea of inequality. You practice them to get rid of something or to obtain something. Brahman is without action. Atman is Brahman, and we are Atman. Knowledge like this takes off all error. It must be heard, apprehended intellectually, and lastly realized. Cogitating is applying reason and establishing this knowledge in ourselves by reason. Realizing is making it a part of our lives by constant thinking of it. This constant thought of dhyana is as oil that pours in one unbroken line from vessel to vessel. Dhyana rolls the mind in this thought day and night, and so helps us to attain to liberation. Think always, Soham, Soham. This is almost as good as liberation. Say it day and night. Realization will come as a result of this continuous cogitation. This absolute and continuous remembrance of the Lord is what is meant by bhakti. This bhakti is indirectly helped by all good works. Good thoughts and good works create less differentiation than bad ones. So indirectly they lead to freedom. Work, but give up the result to the Lord. Knowledge alone can make us perfect. He who follows the God of truth with devotion, to him the God of truth reveals himself. So this is our reading today. So I shall briefly try to explain or contemplate over what we have read. Swamiji begins in this passage by saying that Madhva means Sri Madhvacharya, the great teacher of Dvaita philosophy, who, as we know, he was born in a place near Udupi, near Mangalore in Karnataka. And from there, he propounded his philosophy. He came to Udupi, and he spent most of his life in that. And then, of course, there are travels also. But then he was a thoroughgoing dualist. He did not believe in what we call as the Advaita. He believed in Dvaita. And Swamiji says he did not go into much of reasoning. His reasoning is there, but a different type of reasoning. It is all taken from the revelation in the Vedas. So first you have to accept the Vedas, and based on that I will reason out. That's his approach. Especially he quotes the Puranas. So it's a very old tradition. Udupi Krishna temple is, the very center of this kind of thinking. Then there is Ramanuja, who is the great teacher of Vishishtadvaita. According to him, that you must study Vedas, and that kind of study is most important, and begin by going to the Guru and take the Gayatri mantra. and study from the Guru Vedas word for word with right pronunciation and intonation. Intonation is what we chant at the beginning. We chant this Sahana Bhavatu. So there is an intonation in that. Sahana Bhavatu, Sahanau Bhunaktu. This is going up and down. This particular intonation, the Vedic intonation. So Swamiji says, Ramanuja very much believed that we must learn this. This is the holiest of studies. These teachings of Swamiji are not it's not an article, it's not a lecture. It is just sporadic, inspired. Sporadic but inspired. Next one, he says, Japa means repeating the holy name, and through which a person can rise to the highest, to the infinite. Actually, Sri Ramakrishna used to say, doing japa is like, doing repetition of God's name again and again. So it is like there is a log of wood which is submerged in water on the banks of Ganga. And there's a chain tied to it at the top of the bank, and you take hold of the chain little by little, you will reach the log or whatever is submerged with that. So similarly, you go on repeating God's name, you will reach God himself. Then Swamiji refers quotes from the Mundaka Upanishad. He says the vote of sacrifice and ceremonies is very frail. Say, there's a it uses the word plava heta adradaha. Plava means, see, the boat example is given here to understand that this is an ocean of constant birth and death, constant making and unmaking in which we live. This is known as Bhavasagar. A person is born, he becomes young, he becomes old, and he dies. Again, he is born, and the same process goes on. And why this happens? Because why is he born again? Because he has karmas to finish. So it's kind of like an ocean, Bhavasagara. So in this ocean, if you have to go beyond, you need a boat. So some people take up the boat of ceremonies, rituals. But that ritual only will produce some result which will last for some time. But if you take up spiritual practice, like repetition of God's name, it will cut down the karmas, and it will make you free. In fact, Holy Mother Sarda Devi used to say, there is a great power in the repetition of God's name. She would say that suppose you repeat the name of God very consistently, it will reduce the intensity of karma, but karma will not fully go away. It will be still there. It will be in very, very subtle forms. And she would give an example. Suppose you had, because of your karma, you had to get a big cut by a sword. As per the karma, you had to get that. But because you have repeated God's name, the intensity will be reduced, and maybe you will get a small pin prick or a prick by a small thorn. That's all. Enough. It is still there. Karma is there, it's very small. So Swami is referring to that we must hold on to spiritual practices. Then he further says that liberty is nothing more than destruction of ignorance, and that can only go when we know Brahman. So this is the Hindu idea, the Indian idea, that what we call as bondage is nothing but not seeing the oneness. Not seeing the oneness. So what is to be done then? Then seeing oneness means bringing knowledge into our mind, understanding. It's not just reading some book. It is a change in attitude, a transformation. Seeing difference is the cause of all misery, and ignorance is the cause of seeing difference. Suppose a person rises above that through spiritual practice. What happens? He attains that stage of seeing everything as consisting of the same divine reality. Then he will not suffer from any anger or greed or jealousy or sorrow. He will attain that stage, what is known as in the Isha Upanishad, it is said, Ekatvam anupashyatah. one who sees oneness, what happens to him? Tatra ko mohaha kashokaha ekatvam anupashyata. One who is having the state of oneness, there is no shoka, there is no sorrow, no repentance in his mind. There's a state which he's describing. And finally, Swamiji says these ideas have to be heard again and again. The Atman and Brahman, our own self and the highest self are one. We are Atman and we are, so to way, in that sense, we are Brahman also. The knowledge means this idea must dawn in our mind. And this must be first heard, Shrotavya, then apprehended intellectually, then Mantavya, then you must understand. And then we have to constantly keep thinking about it. Niridhyasitavya. We should not immediately start thinking about it. We should first learn to understand what we are going to think over. If it says Aham Brahmasmi, you have heard this, or Soham. Aham does not mean ego here. It means the divine in me. I am that. So trying to overcome my littleness, that is the process. So first we must understand. We must understand. You think of divine, make it clear. That's called intellectual clarity must be there. Then think always Soham. Say it day and night. Then realization will come. Then we become fully aware of our divine nature. And finally, this bhakti thing is beautiful. Bhakti means that you have to keep thinking like this again and again. This absolute and continuous remembrance of the Lord is what is meant by bhakti. This is actually definition given in the Viveka Chudamani of the Adi Shankaracharya. So bhakti is also indirectly helped by all good works. So these things create good works. They are less of differentiation. And bad works, they are bad, a lot full of differentiation. This is mine, that is yours. Whereas good is everything is mine. That kind of a service mindedness is there. That will take you nearer to your own divine self. He who follows the God of truth with devotion, to him the God of truth reveals himself. So this is our reading for today. Now let us sit and try to focus our mind. Please keep your spine straight. Close the eyes. Take a long breath and exhale. Let's exhale fully. And then again, inhale right up to the belly, not just chest. Then exhale. In the same way, third time. Now relax. We are here to concentrate the mind. Let's make our sankalpa, our resolution clear to us. We are not seeking anything else at this moment. We are here to calm the mind. Let us justify our efforts through our thoughts. That's I'm doing the right thing. And let us have faith in this process of meditation. And keep sitting straight with your hands in your lap or in your thighs. Sthiram Sukhamasanam. Let us sit in a posture which is sthira and sukha, unmoving, make no movement. Don't change your posture. Don't open your eyes. Don't make any movement. But sit comfortably, not in an uncomfortable posture, but a comfortable posture. But sit straight. Don't lie down. Don't stand up, but keep sitting in a right posture. Now, let us fill our mind with positive thoughts, positive feelings. Don't allow any negative thought of frustration, thought of violence, or any other similar thoughts of discouragement, of failure, of fear, or some kind of a loss. No, let us think positive thoughts. Feel that you are filled with purity, filled with holiness. That's our real nature. We are strong physically, mentally. We can face our lives meaningfully with strength. And we wish good to all. We have hatred towards none. We have dislike towards none. We wish everyone good. May all proceed on the right path and reach the highest goal. Sarve bhavantu sukhinah, sarve santu niramaya, sarve bhadrani pashyantu, ma kaschit dukkha bhag bhavet. Pray for the well-being of all. Let us mentally offer our salutations to all the forms in which Brahman manifests himself. People call him by different names. Our prayer, our salutations to all those forms and to all the great masters, teachers of meditation, all great sages. May their blessings be upon us. Let us keep our mind in the present moment. Feel where you are sitting. Feel various limbs of your body. Keep yourself in the present moment. If the mind thinks of the past, bring it to the present moment. If mind thinks of the future, think again, bring it to the present moment. In the present moment, we are sitting here breathing, trying to meditate. Think of your breathing. Think of the various limbs, both the feet, the calf muscles, knee joints, thighs, the hip joints, the spine, the shoulders, chest, think of the heart, the beating of the heart. Think of the belly, the digestive fire, both the hands, the palms, fingers, fingertips, both the arms, the shoulder joints, neck, head, forehead, eyebrows, eyes, cheeks, chin, ears. Feel you're relaxed, you're healthy, you're pure, internally and externally. Think of the power behind this body and mind, the prana shakti. Think of that vital power that is responsible for all what we call as life. Our eyes can see because prana shakti is there. Ears can hear because prana shakti is there. We digest food, we expel waste, we walk, we do all our physical, mental activity because of that prana. Prana represents that vital divine principle in us. Think of that through breathing. Focus on your breathing again. What a remarkable power this prana is. Now think of your mind, thoughts, the various emotions, memories, various ideas that keep bubbling in our mind. Just observe them. Don't analyze them. Don't try to even control them. Let them, in a very detached manner, come and go. And then go deeper and think of that power which is behind even this mind. That is the power of divinity, power of the Atman. Let us think of that Atman in the form of an object. Though it is objectless, for our meditation, we think in the form of an object, a divine object, the form of a, let's say, Shiva or Krishna, Rama, or any other divine form. Or think of the flame of a candle which is not moving. There's no air. It is sheltered away from all air. It is straight without any movement. Think of that flame representing your own divine nature. We shall remain focused as much as possible on that form. We can repeat Om alongside or the name of any god that you wish. Suppose you are meditating on Rama, think of Rama, Rama. Or if you are meditating on Krishna or Shiva, accordingly you can repeat their name for some time. Or simple Om. And afterwards, try to keep your mind focused. Let all the protruding thoughts running here and there be brought to that point. So thoughts of past and future, don't think. Bring yourself to this act of meditation. We all can attain to certain degree of excellence in meditation through repeated practice, and through that finally attain our own goal. Let us be sincere, let us be positive, let us have faith in ourselves and faith in the divine grace, and let us focus on that visualized form in the center of the chest. I will chant Om once and then we will meditate for a few minutes. At the end we'll have prayer. Let us now conclude. Oh, Shanti, 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 Harihi Om. You can open the eyes now. As we open the eyes, we should pray for strength, for right guidance, for purity, and for the well-being of all. Any questions? Any questions? Is there anyone?
Guruji, my question is regarding sleep. How much actually do we need of it, sir?
May I know your name?
Yash Vikram Singh.
Yashvit Vikram Singh. So, Vikramji, sleep is a very personal requirement. So, as per your age, as per your health, state of your health, and lifestyle activity, the requirement of sleep changes. We know as a child, child needs to sleep more than 10 hours, 10 to 12 hours even. And a grown-up, a youth, I presume you are in your early 20s or 8, 9, must be early 20s. So for you, it should be 7 hours should be good enough. But it also depends on what time you sleep. Suppose you sleep late at night, too late at night, you won't be able to get up early in the morning. Generally, youth have this issue of, being awake late into night. So you will have to change your lifestyle if you want to get up early in the morning, if that's the issue in your mind. Maybe you can take a small rest in the afternoon if it permits, if there is a opportunity for that. A half an hour, lie down, relax yourself, and maybe you can take a small nap. But the point is that we must not oversleep. If you oversleep, then that leads to dullness of the mind, and of course physically we will be unnecessarily putting on weight also if you oversleep. But to keep the mind fresh, it is good to maintain a routine. Say, as per your this thing, 11 o'clock, if you sleep, you get up at around 6 o'clock, that's good enough. That's good enough. Think of it.
One more question, Guruji. I always wonder about the idea of the practice of brahmacharya that has been talked about. I get all sorts of answers, like some answers are centered around celibacy and how it proceeds out of celibacy and goes along the way, and somebody says that it's all about being joyful by your own nature. May I know your perspective about it?
The term brahmacharya consists of two words, Brahman and Acharana. So Brahman means your own divine nature, and Acharana means living a life which will lead to that. So brahmacharya, this is the shabdik artha, but in a more specific sense, it does mean celibacy. Of course, it does mean chastity. Chastity, Swami Vivekananda used to say, if a nation or a race does not believe in the ideal of chastity, that nation will slowly get very degraded, because we are not speaking of a sannyasin's or a monk's celibacy, which is supposed to be the 100% celibacy, which he doesn't marry, he doesn't have children. But for those who are in the world, for them also celibacy is needed. See, all this extramarital issues which happen, or even within the marriage when people suffer, it is because they have not followed the ideal of brahmacharya. So ideal of brahmacharya, basically, it means that I'll have a self-control, and whatever the sexual drive I have, which it's again given by prakriti, by the nature, I will try to overcome it. I will try to train it up. I will not indulge in running after lower, you know, lower pleasures of life, because that's if I run on only after the lower pleasures of life, that doesn't make me truly human. The animals do that. Animals don't have a sense of social etiquette as far as this is concerned. But I am a human being, so I should. I have a capacity to. I have a capacity to sublimate my own energies by constantly thinking of higher thoughts. It also means that I must see divinity in others. So people, suppose a boy looks at a girl, he should try to see that divinity in her, and similarly, she should see the divinity in him. Then the relationships become very pure and chaste. But we don't look upon each other as objects of our lower tendencies. That's the brahmacharya. So basically, this is one way of looking at it, and we believe that unless a person follows brahmacharya, he cannot have a very good health also, nor can he have his development of his intellectual powers. And all the goodness in the word lies contained in that word, brahmacharya, because it speaks of self-control, it can self-sublimation. We have, I would suggest you a small book. It's called Value of Brahmacharya by one of our monks. It should be available on internet. It's published from our Chennai branch, Ramakrishna Math, Chennai. There is a more detailed discussion about this subject besides that book, Value of Brahmacharya, which is by Swami Tathagatanandaji. But there is a more detailed discussion about it in one of the larger publications of our ashram. It is called Meditation and Spiritual Life. There are 3 chapters in that. They deal with it in a lot of depth. So you can read that also. The second book is Meditation and Spiritual Life by Swami Atmashraddhananda. The chapters are, I can mark it for you. It is the practice of brahmacharya. There's a whole chapter in that. They're very, very carefully, in a very sensitive manner, they have been presented the whole issue very well. So you can read that also.
Thank you very much, Guruji.
I shall leave the names of these books with the coordinator of the Samiti. I'll ask him to circulate to those who wish to know about it.
Maharaj, there is a question in the chat. We are often born with certain inclinations and tendencies in our mind, due to which we often end up committing good or bad things right from our childhood. So are these things under our control at the initial stages, or we take control of them later in the life when we have gained enough experience?
Yes, we are all born with certain tendencies. That is known as swabhava. We are all born with some swabhava, some samskaras. So at least in Sanatana Dharma, we believe in this, that none of us come as a clean slate. We come with some past samskaras, past karmas with us. In fact, this is a very basic point to begin with. Now, having said this, we should also remember that God has given us the power of making right choices. But when we are very young, this power of making right choices does not become fully active. Because it is not fully active, as we are guided, we simply go. Suppose somebody, I had a bad company. I didn't get the right company. So I make a mistake because of the company. Company has influenced me. My association has influenced me. So I don't have the so much of intelligence or so much of Viveka Shakti fully developed in me. So I make mistakes. Now, having made mistakes, we should not be repeating them again and again once we understand it. You should not be keep on saying, oh, I made a mistake, I made a mistake. No, it happened. It's okay. I was a child, so to say. So I did make a mistake. It's okay. Now let me not think of my mistake. Now let me learn from my mistake. Now this is the second part, which is the more challenging thing, that we can make a difference in our life by our self-effort and by constantly being aware of the ideal that we place before us. We must have an ideal before us. We should check our thoughts. We should check our words, our tendencies, what we do in private, what we believe in our deepest core. We must always check. It's not to impress somebody that I go to meditation or I meditate. I don't read something to show off. It's because it's part of my own organic need that I need these things. So if we have that much of maturity, if we come up to that, then we will overcome our lower tendencies. In this golden principle of life, which Sri Ramakrishna says, is this: suppose you want to go towards the west. So what do? You leave. Do you say I am leaving the east behind? No, you simply go towards the west. In the same way, go towards your ideal. Don't go on fighting with your lower tendencies so much. Rather, assert your higher tendencies, your higher ideal. So the more we assert that, the more we proceed towards that. So don't have to go on thinking I'm leaving behind the wrong things. I'm leaving behind what was not required. I'm leaving behind my mistakes. I'm making a big announcement. I'll write in my Facebook. Hereafter I'm changing myself. No need to do that. Just take up, maybe in your own private resolution, you write down somewhere. It's for you and your own struggle and your own thing. You have to follow it up. Don't worry about what people say or don't say about that. Follow what you wish to follow. You have understood that there is a mistake that I did. Now I want to set myself right. Find out various means which are required to make that happen, that change to happen in our life. And all of us have got tremendous capacity, tremendous possibilities to change ourselves for better. And this process will continue. If you started in youth, it will continue right into the ripe age. You will go on improving, refining yourself. And I wish that all of us should understand that and try to follow it in life. That's it.